All right, welcome in, everybody. Happy Monday to you. Almost Victory Monday for you and your Jacksonville Jaguars in the preseason, but they settle for a 17-all tie, and Cam Little on his birthday doesn't get a chance to kick a game-winning walk-off field goal, but nevertheless, the Jags starters performed a little bit better yesterday, a lot better yesterday. Tony Smith, good morning.
Good morning.
How did you feel things went for the Jags? What was your, like, at the end of the day, I saw some social media reaction like, I can't believe this has happened. You know, who cares about the tie?
Yeah, I really don't care about the results necessarily.
I would care
of games.
if Liam Cohen managed the last 10 seconds the same way in the regular season without giving your kicker a chance to get that play.
At this point in a preseason game, it's more like, all right, run another play.
Yeah,
like if it was a regular season game, I would have said run the ball, call the timeout with 3 seconds, and kick the game-winning field goal, right? But in a preseason game, I'm not really one way or the other. I will say, the first quarters are fun because your starters are out there, so you feel like there's some evaluation of the guys that we're going to be counting on getting into the season. Then you have 2 quarters where you're like, well, they're still playing. Like, it's kind of out of the side eye that you're watching. And then late in that game when it was 17-9, I know where I was down there covering the game yesterday. I was thinking, I hope New Orleans scores, gets 2, and we get a chance to see Cam Little again. Like, that's all I wanted at the end of the game was, and I was upset when they crossed midfield. I was like, I would like to see him try from 72. Like, that's the kind of mood that I had late in the game because there's nothing else really that I'm thinking about much with what they have on the field at that point. But Cam Little and the potential of him to, can we push it beyond 70 at one point in this game? But, yeah, I mean, they run the play. It ends up in the interception. I'm not all that upset about it. It's not what I would want to see in the regular season, but it's preseason, so I don't take much out of much of what they do.
Well, I buried the lead. I know David Garrard was here last week, but I wasn't, David.
You were not.
It is great to see you. Great to have you back for another season of Jaguars Today and your analysis of what all went down, and particularly leaning heavily on your analysis of quarterback play, obviously. So give me the thumbnail on what you saw from Trevor Lawrence yesterday.
Well, I felt like last week he was pretty sharp. He moved around. He threw darts out there. Everything looked pretty good. It would have been nice to cap it off with a touchdown. But then you get into this game, and it felt like everything just progressed from last week. Still sharp, still throwing the ball around good, moving around with his feet, getting the ball out of his hands pretty quick, and giving the guys a chance to do something with the ball once they have it in their hands. I mean, the touchdown to Parker Washington was a great ball, giving him a chance because he's one of those guys that if he's in a phone booth, guys might not be able to touch him. So that is a perfect situation for him. I felt like Trevor did really good. I even thought Mullins came in and did pretty good. He did have that interception. But other than that, I felt like both of them were pretty sharp.
Yeah, I thought Trevor threw the ball well. Obviously, the fumble was the one negative play.
It happens.
It does, right? And I'm not killing him for it.
Yeah.
But, how difficult is that? In that moment, you stepped on, you're falling. Yeah. You're still thinking, I can make a play, right? And he kind of, instead of handing it with the palm up the way you typically do, he kind of shoved it into the chest of Bigsby. And I'm not saying, maybe Bigsby could have done better at trying to corral that.
Bigsby's never had an issue with fumbling.
No, I understand, but
I'm not saying that Bigsby fumbled on the play, but that's the last guy that I want to try to give him the ball at an odd angle. Right? Like, he's just the guy that it's like, I'm not surprised that it turns out that way when you're trying that kind of thing. It is, we hear learning moment.
Yep.
On that kind of thing. What do you learn? In that kind of moment? Or is it just something that happens? Yeah.
Yeah. You learn not to try to shove the ball into your running back's pocket when you're falling to the ground. Sometimes you just got to eat the play. Sometimes it's just he stepped on your foot. If he had it in the right hand or the correct hand, I should say, and he could put the ball where the ball hits him in, because I've had that happen before. And as long as I have my hand, I'm a good enough athlete where as long as the ball is touching the running back's stomach and not my hand, that just throws it all off. And then he tried to shove it in there as best he could. So, like I'm saying, that's a moment where he will think about it. We're down here. We're going in to score. Let's not mess it up with anything foolish on our end. Oh, I just got stepped on. Oh, I'm falling. This is already a bad play. let me just eat it.
Right. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't be aggressive. In fact, we made the argument a couple weeks ago that they should be even more aggressive. I guess later in the week, as the week went on last week, Tony, with Cam Little having basically as good a range as anyone in National Football League. You know he's automatic. He already had the 3 points on the board at that point in time. So, I'm not saying you shouldn't take your end zone shots, but, there's a balance between, hey, we got an automatic 3, and we're going to put ourselves in a position where we came up with nothing. And, they could have easily, if they ate that play, could have gone on to be up 24-3 at the half, with a touchdown or at minimum 20-3. Again, it's not the end of the world, but it's the one thing that stands out negatively. There were plenty of good plays by Trevor Lawrence on the first team offense yesterday. So,
and that was, kind of a weird play. It wasn't something that was within the framework of the play. It wasn't like he stepped out and tried to do some crazy stuff. He was just still trying to make the play by handing the ball off. It's something that happens with quarterbacks, but he will learn from that when he's in that situation that, okay, let me just hold on to it, get ready for the next down, and we can make a play there.
As a Parker Washington is a problem right now, and not for the Jags. I mean, it's a good problem, I guess. You got more receivers than you know what to do with at any given moment. But, Tone, we see, Hunter and De'Ami Brown a little bit nicked up right now. Mm-hmm. Parker Washington just keeps making plays. He has been an ascendant force throughout training camp. I mean, he was already, we thought, a pretty good player, had a nice summer, but really in training camp has turned his game up, and his arrow continues to march towards the top. De'Ami Brown, I feel like, I don't say peaked, but had his best stuff going on in OTAs. He's had his moments in training camp. They're different players, different roles, different responsibilities, but I feel like Parker Washington, if pressed into service, could be a big weapon for this football team this year.
He looks like a good player, right? And a player that's still developing, at this point in his career, Dave. And it's good to see from a young player that's still, the direction is still definitely, the arrow's up, with a guy like Parker Washington. And they were playing that game yesterday. The Saints are expected to be miserable.
They look like it.
Like among the handful of the worst teams in the league this year.
Yeah.
And so Jacksonville was able to do basically whatever they wanted to do. But it's at least worth noting that when the first team was out there yesterday, they were without their number 2 and 3 options at the wide receiver spot, and they still didn't look like they missed a beat when Parker Washington has to come in. And that's been the story of the offseason with Parker. Whatever they ask him to do, he can do.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of his because I like those guys that you can give them the ball and they can just make guys miss and pick up 15, 20 more yards, and you only threw the ball 3 yards, So he's that kind of player that you want to get the ball in his hands. He's a return guy. That's exactly what he does. So his skill level is great because his ceiling, he has not even gotten there yet. And the more and more he continues to get the football in his hands, you're going to just see more and more amazing plays coming out of him.
Hey guys, Dylan Denmark here. Thank you so much for watching 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube. Before you click away, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and be sure to check out our other team-specific channels on the 1010XL network on YouTube.